Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since I have filmed, so if you're here for the first time, nice to meet you, and if you've been here a lot, nice to see you again. My husband and I have done so much lately and have been through such a strange journey in our life that it's been interesting to try to stay up to date on YouTube. So I'm moving towards November. I will be going full-time into YouTube for a multitude of reasons that I will get to. So, because this is a life update, I should fill you in on the past. I think the last video I talked to you guys about, I had said we'd put an offer on a house. So, to backtrack for anybody that's new, my husband and I began the purchasing process of buying a tiny home on wheels, and it's created by an RV company, but it's created to be a tiny home. So we were going through that process. It's being built. It's gonna come to us on a certain date, and COVID shuts it down. So it stops being made, and we're thinking, oh my goodness, okay, so I guess we're gonna have to rent for a couple more months. So we had to rent for at least 3 more months, and when it was scheduled to be delivered, they reran the credit check, and the bank so you get pre-approved for your loan and they lock in your price. But apparently if you go longer than 3 months, they have to do it again. And because COVID shut us down for an extra 3 months, they had to run this credit again. And because of COVID, the banks in those cities decided to not support our loan. And it was kind of a hassle already because banks don't want you to live in a camper tiny home RV. It has to be like a stick-built, they would prefer you to have a stick-built thing that was already made or somebody made, and it actually qualifies as a home. But this is a mobile home on wheels that is kind of, what am I trying to say? It counts more as an RV than a house. And so because of that, they have to prove you can still pay for it with your income, and actually paying for a house still. So we were able to prove that at first, and then when they did it again because of COVID, they decided they didn't want to support the loan anymore. So that was literally, when we found that out, we had emptied our home. We had literally next to nothing in the home. My pastor and his wife and my parents have come over to help us, and this guy calls me and tells me it's not gonna happen. And so I start crying. I'm like, I am moving out right now. How can you do this to me? And so he says, you guys will have to have probably a minimum of 5% down. So we're like, I don't have that. And so we are thinking, all right, it's not going to happen. He says he'll talk to 2 more banks, but it's not going to be for a week, or not a week. It's not going to be till Tuesday for him to check. So I have to go to a wedding. I don't have to, I get to. I got to go be the maid of honor at my cousin's wedding, which is so exciting and such an honor. And that was awesome, and a distraction I needed at the time. And so I leave to go on this trip, not even sure where I'm gonna live when I come back, because we had to move our stuff into we moved all of our stuff into my in-laws camper, because the original plan was for it to be delivered. We move our stuff into it, and then we move it to the site where we're gonna go. But because they're like, oh, guess what? Even though it's supposed to be here the 28th, and it's the 24th when I'm having this conversation with them, you just didn't get reapproved. It's already built. We've seen pictures. We've seen a video, all kinds of things. And so we're like, what are we going to do with all of our stuff? Because we don't want to rent the house again if we're not going to live in it. So we put all of our stuff, our furniture, into a storage shed at my parents' house, thankfully, our outdoor gear into a horse trailer at my in-laws' house. Praise God for nice family. And then we put my office supplies into the church and rec center that I worked in. And then we put kind of our needed accessories into this camper. So on the way to this wedding in Idaho, I'm in the car with the bride and her husband-to-be, and I am on my phone emailing back and forth with these people trying to figure it out. Needless to say, little point in there. Our friends, we have some friends that were so dear, they totally came in to help us. And I mean, tons of my family did, tons of our friends did. But when we said we can't get our house, they need 5% down. And so that's just not something we can do. And our friends are like, oh, well, what do you need? And they write us a check for the amount we assumed, that, or the amount that would be 5% down. And we're thinking, I don't want to accept that. That's so much money. Like, I can't believe they would even give us that. And so we're like, what do we do? This is kind of an interesting situation. And I don't want to just take that from my friends. I'll obviously pay them back. But it was an interesting place to be, but we were so moved by their graciousness to provide us with that. We prayed and we're like, God, if this is meant to be and we're supposed to get this house, let us have the money that we need to buy it. And if it's not meant to be, make them ask us for more. And then we'll know for some reason we're not supposed to get the tiny home. So we say that prayer, we wait a couple days, and then that's back to on the way to Idaho. I find out they want more money. They wanted, like $4,000 more than we had. And I was like, no, I can't do that. And they're like, well, if you're willing to come get it, it'll cut your cost down $2,700, which would bring you closer to only $1,000 more that we didn't have, or excuse me, it would bring us down farther, but we would have to go pick it up states and states away. So our travel expenditures would still have to be accounted for in that change. And we were like, no, we don't want to do that, because this is what we said. Like, in our hearts, we said, if they're going to ask for more, we know it's not meant to be. So we're like, nope, I'm done. Because I had multiple issues with this company over and over and over again. And I don't necessarily know that it's the company's fault, but a combination of COVID and the bank's fault. Because, I mean, we were supposed to get it. Like, I think we were supposed to actually have our home by like March 25th at the latest, if I remember correctly. And it didn't come. And I checked it March 12th, and they had already been shut down. The people who were making it had already been shut down because of COVID. So we find out it's not done yet. So, I mean, we put in the purchase order and the order to have it built like the last day of January, and we paid our deposit for it. And then it wasn't until the end of May that they told us we couldn't have it anymore, even though it was built and everything, without a ton more money. So, needless to say, I'm on the way to Idaho. I don't have a house now. I'm going to go back and be homeless. And I have a week's worth of wedding stuff to do with my cousin. And I was distraught. And I was also expecting to either have a positive pregnancy test or not have a positive pregnancy test caused by natural signs. You know what I'm talking about. So, that day, I did not have a positive pregnancy test, and I had actually secretly in my heart kind of wanted one. And so I was like, okay, so I'm not having a baby. It's not meant to be. And then I found out I don't have a house. And I'm like, no wonder it's not meant to be. I would be pregnant without a home. But the story continues. That week, I go and I just try to help my cousin get ready for her wedding. Poor girl has to get married amidst intense COVID regulations. Like, the day of the wedding, they decide you can have 50 people at a wedding space with social distancing. And that had to include your officiant, your caterer, the people that were setting it up, or anybody for the facilities. And so the poor girl had to scale down her wedding intensely, and then on top of that, nothing had been open for her to prearrange anything. So basically, like, to get tablecloths, we couldn't get those because they just now opened because COVID regulations went down. I don't know why I'm scratching my head. It looks like I have a bump. If I have a bump, forgive me, I'm human. So we couldn't get anything open. The nail salon happened to open up. The other things happened to open up. Like, there were tons of different things that what am I trying to say? Like, nothing had been open for her to actually plan the wedding to happen. So that sucked totally bad for her. And we kind of had to crash course, get those little those line-up ending things that week before the wedding. And it turned out fine. The wedding was great. She got what she needed and hopefully what she wanted, and she's married and happy now. But, so, we go home the day after the wedding, and I get to return to my husband to live in a camper, a tiny camper full of our things. And so our church so generously let us park our camper at the church and use their showers and facilities. And if it were not for them, I do not know what we would have done, because we would have had to go get another lease or something that would have locked us in for months when we were trying to buy a home. And so having that church option was phenomenal. And we had decided, okay, it's summer, we can travel up the mountain. My parents have a cabin. We'll go stay in the cabin. It can't be that bad once we get the solar power in. Life is insane, and life didn't work as we planned. No solar power went in, and we did move to the cabin up a mountain, making our drive about 32 minutes every night, and 20 of that being up a bumpy mountain in a Polaris side-by-side RZR. And we would pack our stuff onto the back of the RZR, and we would bungee cord it on, and we would go up the switchbacks every night, bumpily up the switchbacks to our powerless and waterless home. So essentially we had like one tiny solar panel that allowed us to turn on 2 light bulbs and somewhat charge a cell phone. Not really. You could try, but it'd pretty much maintain where it was. And then we would use like pour over water and a composting toilet. And the upside to this adventure is we were rarely at the cabin because we were always working and doing life. So we would come down the morning, we'd be in the RZR by 6, and we'd be going down the mountain, 6:15, between 6 and 6:10, we would be in the RZR headed down the mountain. And we'd get down the mountain, and we'd get to the gate, because there's a security gate to get into this area. So we go to the gate, and then we would switch our stuff into our vehicle, and then we would drive the vehicle to work. We'd drive to work, I would drop Matt off at work, and then I would drive to my work. And then at the end of the day, I'd go get him, and then we'd go to whatever activity we had to after that. And we sang at 2 different services. So we had those 2 nights that were always taken up, and then we had, there was more things we had going on in the evenings at that point as well. So we were still pretty busy. And so we wouldn't get up the mountain till between 9 and 10 p.m. So you get up there in the dark and you basically go to sleep. And we had to eat out almost every meal, because even though we had a propane stove, we had to come down the mountain so fast, and we were getting up to the mountain so late that we were so tired, we didn't jump up and make food on the propane stove in the morning, and we didn't get up to the cabin early enough to necessarily cook very often, and we didn't have a refrigerator, so we had a cooler we would put ice in every night to try to maintain any food we did have. And it was so interesting. And needless to say, we find out July 3rd that I am pregnant. And so, horrifyingly, we had put an offer on a house, and I had accepted that I wasn't pregnant last month. Like, I was like, okay, it's not meant to be. There's all these things in my life I need to deal with. Like, I have this health issue I could try to address until I have a baby or until I get pregnant. And I was like, okay, it's just not meant to be. You know what? I'm okay with that. I want to be with just my husband for a while. And I was content with that. And so when I got pregnant, I didn't expect it, because when you've taken a ton of pregnancy tests to be negative and you're not even trying to get pregnant, a positive pregnancy test is a shocker. So we got pregnant, and amidst living at the cabin. So that meant from now on that I was having morning sickness, which is really all day sickness, going up and down a mountain, and with a stomach growing, and I had to expand my side-by-side seat seat belts. Like we have a 5-point harnesses, and so I had to expand those so I could fit. And then I'm also going down the mountain every day. Like when we first go up, I was like, oh, it's so beautiful, what a cool drive, and I'm all positive and happy. And then after I got pregnant and morning sickness came in, I was like, dear Jesus, don't let me throw up, oh, don't let me throw up, don't let me throw up, like the whole way down the mountain. And I'd be like trying to eat something, like eat a protein bar or eat something and drink something on the mountain down to satisfy the baby's hunger, to try to keep the nausea away. And oh my goodness, it was interesting. But I will say, what was amazing is that the nights that we did get to be at the cabin and the weekends that we did get to be there were so peaceful. I loved those days because when we got to go up there and cook together, there's no one out there. You could look as ridiculous as you wanted and nobody's out there. Like, you rarely see anybody. So the calm and quiet was so peaceful. I can't even describe it because you don't understand it till you're there. And there's nothing making sounds. Like, there's not cars driving by. Your refrigerator's cord, you don't hear it running, like all kinds of different things, you don't hear those. You hear just like nature. And it was so nice. And we would go up there and we'd cook and we'd talk and we'd just chill and have fun. Sometimes the technology we did use is that if we had like a downloaded movie on our cell phone, we might watch it, or if we had enough battery in a laptop, we might watch a movie together. But that didn't happen often because there was no power. And just like cooking out in the fresh air was like, it was like that, the joy you get from camping on those times. And I like camping, so maybe people that don't like camping won't understand that. And then when, like one night we played Battleship because what else did we have to do? And it was so nice to just have that rest. The problem is that the rest of the time we were running 100 miles an hour. We were just sleep there and go back down to work. And then, I'm probably taking way too long to explain this. Anyways, so we've put the offer on the house. They accepted the offer. The day I found out the night before I found out I was pregnant. So the day I found out I was pregnant, we went to the bank to start the paperwork, and I didn't find out I was pregnant till later that evening, right before going to fireworks with my family. So I was like shell-shocked, and all these fireworks are going off, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm making a human. Can I even handle this? And so it was funny. I had to kind of like try to adjust myself and not freak out. And so we go to the fireworks. I'm pregnant. We have a house in the working. So we continue the summer living at the cabin, working our butts off and all those good things. And our closing date is set for a specific date. So we're like, oh, finally, praise God. And so our in-laws own a pumpkin patch and a raspberry farm, which always takes up our time in September and October. So September rolls along, and actually it was before September. My husband did dirt work for them because they're putting in a shop. So we would stay the weekends at their place, and then we would go back up to the cabin the rest of the week. On our way back to the cabin, the week before our closing date, we are driving, looking for deer. We're totally alert. Like, there's a lot of deer out there, so we're always looking for deer. And something hits us. So, our truck goes, ba-jump, and we turn around to see what we hit because we couldn't see anything. And there's two people that were over standing on the side of the road with flashlights, but you couldn't really see them. Their lights weren't enough. And we're like, oh my gosh, did we hit a deer? What did we hit? And the person says, all my donkeys are out. So we hit a little black donkey, and it came out of the ditch right as we were coming, and we couldn't even see it. And it's also like low enough, I guess, that you couldn't see it over the top of the truck. And so it wipes out our vehicle. We turn around, the vehicle doesn't look too bad. We try to help the people get their other donkeys in, and we think, okay, I don't know what to do. We can't just sit here. There's no cell service. What do we do? So we take we tried to go up the mountain, like we tried to turn around towards the mountain because there's more service farther up the road, and that would be on our way home if our truck's not too bad. But needless to say, our truck won't even turn. So which was a godsend. So we putt along, doing seemingly well, thinking our truck must not be that bad off. We pull up to the church where our other vehicle was to switch vehicles. And we see that the damage is significant, and we do need to do our due diligence and call and get a police report. And because we didn't have cell service is why we didn't call at the scene of the accident, which you should always. But that's why we didn't. So we get there, and the police officer, a highway patrol comes, and he helps us out. He gets us our report done. We wait out there, and I was like super shook up because I was already nauseated, already sick, already like at my wit's end with all the things we're going through. And then we had this lovely situation. So we, that night, decided to sleep in our church and try to figure it out tomorrow. So we pulled a mattress we knew somewhere in the church, and they had told us in the past that if we were in a rough night where it was late, we could just stay in the church. So we pull up this mattress, and the only one we could find was one twin mattress. And my brother had been storing a couple of his things up there from him moving in the attic. And so we grabbed his twin sheets, and we slept on a twin mattress together that night. We thought, well, we don't have a truck to make it up the mountain right now. And we're supposed to close on our house in literally 4 days. Let's just stay down the mountain. So we set up another mattress in there. We pushed them together, and we decided to sleep in the church attic. And since we were already showering there, I worked there, we're like, this might just be easier. So we stayed up there, and we were supposed to close that Friday. So we're like, yay, we're going to have a house this Friday. So, but they put off the closing date because our underwriter had been an absolute pain in the butt. I mean, like, I have to do a whole nother video on how to buy a house for the first time and tell you the struggle I was going through to get us this house. I mean, this underwriter, I had to prove every little dollar I made. So that meant if I sold a desk, because we moved houses, I had to prove it. And I had to prove every single tiny deposit, even $5 into our account. And because I'm that weirdo that works at 5 different places, I had to prove a lot. And then I had to get verifications of employment from every place I worked. And that means every time I substituted, every time I cleaned for my Nana, when I worked at the recreation center, like all those different things, I had to prove every single thing. It was a nightmare, and I did it every time for them. And then I got them all these documents they wanted from months ago. And so all this chaos, like, I was so ready to have a house and so frustrated with this underwriter that I was like, I am so ready to be done. And they put off the closing for another week. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So we stay another week in the church for our next closing date. Needless to say, they put it off again. They ended up getting it by Friday because the banker lady was like working her butt off for us to get it done. So we get in, we stayed 3 weeks in our church. We got our house on September 11th, and now we have a home. That was a long story. I'm gonna have to edit some of that out. Anyways, now we're in a home. We have our house. I've been in the process of putting it together, but the problem is I've been working 6 to 7 days a week at my in-laws' raspberry and pumpkin patch. So putting this house together has not been easy because I've had next to no time, because I work like anywhere 7 hours on a day where I have to go do something in the evening, so I can't stay to finish the shift. But sometimes you work a 9 to 10 hour shift at this place. So you come home and you gotta cook and you're already fried. You haven't seen your loved ones. You want to attempt to see them, which he's tired and I'm tired because we're all working 6 to 7 days a week. And so we just eat and we chill and watch a show, and I'm growing a human at the same time. So I'm more tired than I usually am. And we just haven't gotten a ton done here. But when I was granted Fridays off, I've spent those Fridays trying to pour into our house and get it really cleaned up and try to make it livable. I mean, it is livable, but like functional, you know what I mean? Like, you're not pulling your stuff out of a suitcase. And I've also been growing more pregnant, so I'm gonna stand up so you can see. Okay. Ugh. So, you know, I'm usually quite tiny, like size 4 dress, and I'm curvy. But now I am way bigger. Like, my bridesmaid dress for my brother and sister-to-be's wedding is a size 10. And for little 5-foot Casey, that's huge. Alright, so, this is, I don't know if you can see, this is my baby bump. How am I supposed to show you guys this? Can you see my baby? Isn't it cute? You can't see the cute baby, but he or she is in there. Anywho, and all of pregnancy, buying a house, having no home, all of that mixed together created just this nightmare of a situation. And then, this is great. So the week after we move into our house, a deer runs out in front of our car one evening coming home, and we killed that deer, unfortunately, and it put some rough damage on our car. So now both of our vehicles are out of commission, and we are driving our in-laws' cars currently. And I am like sharing my heart on this channel. Like, I'm telling you all the messy, and I have a small enough following that that's okay right now. But anywho, I also want to be real. Like, one of my huge goals on this channel is to present the good and the messy. Like, not to just be like that perfect Instagram feed that's always so perfect. Like, no, life is hard. How do you bear it? And so it's good to show the messy and be authentic. And so I am showing you my messy. Like, holy wow, it's been a journey. This is where I've been, and not giving you guys tons of new makeup content. So I apologize for the delay. As of November 1st, I will be doing YouTube full time, giving you guys my full attention and trying to give you tons and tons and tons of good content. And the video I'm going to post right after this, I believe, unless it's easier to edit, in which case I'll post it before this, is my 100 subscribers giveaway. I have a little basin or basket about this big filled with cosmetics I've collected over the last year to give to you guys and to gift in this giveaway, because I'm so excited. I've hit 100 subscribers. I know that's nothing compared to people on YouTube, but the way to celebrate those little wins is to think, if I was in a room right now with all my followers, that'd be 100 people in that room. That's a lot of people. I mean, I'm not to thousands and millions, but that's okay. Like, you start small, you grow, and you help who you have when you have them at the time. So I have 100 subscribers. We're going to do a giveaway. And I'm also going to be showing you guys our new house, our new place, showing you me putting together a little nursery for the little baby on the way. And I will be having a gender reveal probably the second or third week in November. And I will make sure to get you guys some footage from that as well. All right. I have thoroughly talked too long. You're probably like so over this video, but you've been caught up. All right, I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me in my little YouTube channel. Make sure to comment below. I love to hear what you guys would like to see. And also, I like to ask you guys a question sometimes. I have a small enough following that I usually only get like 2 answers, but that's okay. Right now, I have been asking, what is your favorite fall drink? Because I am a coffee lover, and I've had to definitely cut back now that I'm pregnant. Anywho, comment your favorite fall drink below. I'd love to see and know lots of other things to try. So if it's a fall alcoholic, you can still say it. I just won't go try it. But if you have a good fall drink, place it below so I can, or comment it below so I can go try it as well. I hope you have an awesome day. And yeah, all right. I love you guys. Bye, guys. See if I can show y'all my baby bump. Can you see her? There's the baby bump. My husband is placing bets every day of when I'll lose my belly button, because I'm so tall. Or I'm so tall. I'm so small. There's like no room for the baby to go, so I'm just already growing out.